class is going to be geared towards beginners. So take this at your own pace. Add in what you would like to. If you want to take a pose a little bit farther than when I'm teaching, that's okay. Take out what you don't want. If it's something that doesn't feel comfortable, take this at your own speed. Remember, yoga is here to help. It's here to create space and growth inside of our bodies. And so if something doesn't feel right, we don't want to push it past our edge. So we're going to go ahead and get started today, guys. We'll get started in seated on our mats. So find your comfortable seated. That can either be crisscross applesauce, your legs can be out in front of you. Whenever someone says comfortable seated, it's just however your body feels comfortable. So to start today, going ahead and sitting up nice and tall, clearing the sits bones out from underneath you, and starting to connect in with your breath. So let the eyes close, the hands rest on your knees, and begin to engage our yogi breath or our ujjayi breathing. So it's the deep inhale through the nose, strong exhale out through the nose. So with our breath here, we're looking for the sounds of the ocean. So as you're breathing out, it's like you're pushing the air out through your throat, listening for that sound. Our breath is going to ignite our core, bring fire inside of our bodies as we begin to warm up and we begin to move. As you begin to settle here into your mat, into this moment, start to think about an intention for the practice. So whether it be a specific pose you're working for, if you just want to focus on being here on this mat, taking this time for you, let that be your intention. Your intention, your mantra, whatever it is today. Come back to that when you feel your mind wandering. When the sounds that are going around your home, whether it be your kids or your pets, start to come into your room, use that intention and that mantra to push them away. This is your time. You've carved out this time for yourself to be here on this mat. So follow this journey today, staying connected with yourself and with everyone else practicing with us. As we sit up nice and tall, gently start to bat open the eyes. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead. Exhale, release them down. Inhale, the arms rise up overhead. The gaze follows up towards the thumbs. Exhale, release. Bringing our hands to our knees and starting to warm up our spines. So as we inhale, puff up the chest, gaze goes up towards the ceiling. Exhale, round the spine, gaze goes down to the belly button. Inhale, open up the chest. Exhale, find the rounding. Moving through this at your own speed, moving with the breath. So if one pose feels better than the other, you can stay there a little bit longer. As I always say, yoga is your journey. Take it to where you need to go. On our next inhale, coming back into our strong center, sitting up nice and tall. And as we exhale, rolling over onto our hands and our knees, finding tabletop. So with our tabletop today, spreading our fingers nice and wide. Our knees are hip distance apart, and our toes are resting flat on the mat. As we exhale, curl the toes, push the ground away from you, lift up and back, downward dog. So first downward dog of the day, let the knees pedal it out. Let one bend and then the other. Starting to get comfortable in the uncomfortable. So getting comfortable in this upside down V. Glancing at your hands, making sure that your middle finger is facing the short edge of your mat. You're pushing down between the index finger and thumb, and you're lifting the tailbone up towards the sky. On our next inhale, lower the knees back down to the mat. As you exhale, find child's pose. Inhale, rise up, tabletop. Exhale, curl the toes, push up and back, downward dog. When we go to downward dog, feel free to find as much movement as you need. You can get crazy with it and rock the hips side to side. Or you can just find your center here, finding your focus. Inhale, lower the knees down. Exhale, release to child's pose. Inhale, rise up, tabletop. Exhale, curl the toes, push up and back, downward dog. On our next inhale, look up towards our hands. Step all the way to the top of our mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up into standing. Sweep the arms overhead. Exhale, Samasthiti. Inhale, arms rise up, gaze follows. Exhale, hinge at the hips, pushing the bum back behind you as you forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the hands, step back into our high plank. So first high plank of the day. Anytime we take a plank, you can stay up on the toes, or you can always drop the knees down to the mat. But we're pushing the hands strong down into the ground. You're pulling the core in nice and tight. It pulls in towards the spine. And then as we exhale, let the knees come down first. Tuck the elbows into the side and gently lower down, chaturanga. Inhale, find your back bend. And then exhale, curl the toes, push up and back, downward dog. When we come back into downward dog, we come back into our breath. So look for those even inhales, matching with your strong exhales. Inhale, look up towards the hands, step or jump to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up into standing. Sweep the arms above the head. Exhale, melt down to the ground. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the hands, step back into our high plank. As we exhale, knees come down to the mat first. Tuck the elbows in and gently lower all the way down. Inhale, find your back bend. Exhale, curl the toes, push up and back, downward dog. This time with our downward dog, let our head shake side to side. Yes and no. Pushing down strong with the index finger and thumb. And then pulling the core in nice and strong. Inhale, look up towards our hands. Step or jump to the top of our mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up into standing. Sweep the arms strong overhead. Exhale them down at our sides. Let the body shake it out a little bit. Adjust your clothing if you need to. And then take our feet about hip distance apart. As we inhale, sweep the arms above the head and gently sink down into a wide-legged chair pose. So with our wide-legged chair pose, look down at the knees. Make sure the knees are going the exact same way as the toes. Everything's facing towards the short edge of our mat. Our arms are reaching up overhead. We're extending the arm bones up towards the ceiling. Our core is pulling nice and strong to protect that lower spine. Finding your breath here. Letting the shoulders roll down the back. And then as we exhale, gently forward fold. Take as much bend in the knees as you need to, or we can straighten the knees out. On our next inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the hands, step back into our high plank. And then as we exhale, lower the knees down to the mat. Finding tabletop pose. So in our tabletop, let our hips shake out side to side. Our head rock side to side. And then we find stillness in the body. On our next exhale, bring our big toes together. Sink the hips back into a wide child's pose. So if this is uncomfortable to have your legs out that wide, bring the knee, reaching for the top of your mat, letting your head hang nice and loose. On our next inhale, rise up into tabletop. As we exhale, curl the toes, push up and back, downward dog. Inhale, bring the right leg up into the air. And as we exhale, pull it in towards the belly. And then step the leg all the way through in between our hands. Taking a low runner's lunge. So you have the option here to stay up in our low runner's lunge on that back leg. Or you can always drop the back leg to the mat. Look down at your front leg, stacking that knee over the ankle and pushing down between all four corners of the feet. On our next inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. And then as we exhale, gently lower the hands down to the mat. If your back leg is down, inhale, bring it up. And then on our next inhale, bring both legs up overhead. Let our back foot plant, finding our warrior one. So with our warrior one here, we should still be able to see our big toes. If you can lift them up, let them wave towards your face, a little hello. And then we're pushing that right knee out towards the right side of the room, activating that inner thigh. As you inhale, the arms reach up towards the ceiling, extending those arm bones up. And we're pulling the core in nice and strong as the hips square up towards the front of the mat. Exhale, gently let the hands come down to the mat, framing the front foot. Unplug the back foot and step back into our high plank. Filling the body with a breath here as we inhale, puff up the chest. And then exhale, push the hips up and back, downward dog. Let the head shake it out, nod yes and nod no. Let the knees rock out. And then on our next inhale, sweep the left leg up into the air. Exhale, pulling it through in between your hands. So it's okay if it doesn't take you the first time to get there. Sometimes we step through here and we just have to help it up a little bit. Remember, you can always drop that back leg to the ground if you need to. And then as we inhale, sweep our arms up overhead. Lengthening the arms up towards the ceiling. Exhale, lowering down. If your back leg is down, inhale, lift our leg up. Feeling the body rise up as we lift the arms overhead, planting our back foot, warrior one. So getting a nice deep bend into this front leg, making sure you can still see that big toe. The shoulders are rolling down away from the ears, and our fingers are nice and wide. As we exhale, gently float the hands down to the mat. Unplug our back foot and step back into our high plank. So for our flow this time, you have the option to drop to your knees, or you can stay up onto your toes. As we exhale, tuck the elbows in, lowering all the way down. Inhale, open up the chest. Exhale, curl the toes, push up and back, downward dog. Let the head hang nice and loose. Coming back into your breath. In yoga, it's really easy to hold our breath, especially when the poses are a little bit challenging. But that breath is really going to guide you. It's going to move you through your practice. On our next inhale, look up towards our hands, step or jump to the top of our mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up vertebrae by vertebrae. Making it a game of who can be the slowest. Sweep the arms up overhead and exhale them down at the sides. Finding your breath. Inhaling through the nose. Exhale it out through the mouth. Let our hands come rest down at our sides. Taking our feet to hip distance apart again. Our knees and our toes and our hips and our shoulders are all facing towards the front of your mat. As you inhale, sweep the arms overhead. Exhale, hinge at the hips. Melt down for your feet. Taking your peace fingers, grabbing onto our big toes. We inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, let the elbows go out nice and wide and gently forward fold. So with this pose, you can take as much bend in the knees as you need to, but really let those elbows go out nice and wide. You can give a little tug on the feet to pull yourself closer, but our goal here is to get our chest towards our thighs. The crown of our head reaches down to the mat. On our next inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the hands, step back into our high plank, and then lift our hips up and back, downward dog. Inhale, sweep the right leg up into the air. Exhale, pull it through for our low runner's lunge. And then plant that back foot first As you windmill the arms up, warrior two. So first warrior two pose, let's check in with our feet here. So imagine you have an imaginary line running down your mat. You want your feet on either side of that line. So checking in, it's a lot easier to ride train tracks than it is to surf on a surfboard where you feel a little bit unwobbly. So we're still getting that deep bend into the front leg. We can still see our big toes, so the knees stacked over the ankle. And our hips and our collarbones are squared towards the long edge of the mat. It's just your gaze that goes out over the hand. On our next inhale, flip our right palm, and exhale, let it reverse behind us for a reverse warrior. So this back hand isn't just a limp noodle dangling. It can either be reaching down the back leg, or you can gently wrap it around your back for a half bind. The gaze is up at your right hand. On our next inhale, rise back up, warrior two. Finding our breath. And then as we inhale, gently start to straighten our right leg. You can go ahead and keep your stance as wide as you need to, or you can step that back leg in just a little bit. This is a great place if you've got a water bottle or a block, or I've been using this giant book of classic fairy tales. We're going to set up for triangle here, so go ahead and grab whatever props you need. You don't need a prop in yoga, they're just tools to help you get a little bit further. So I'll show you both with a prop and without. So both legs are now straight, our arms are reaching out in opposite directions. As we inhale, we begin to reach towards the front of our mat. And as we exhale, gently let the right hand melt down, the left hand reaches up. So if you've got a block and would like to reach for it, you rest it right by that right foot and our hand rests down. If you don't have a block, that's okay. You can rest it on the ankle, the calf, even on the thigh if that's comfortable for you. But with this pose, we're looking to stack the joints one on top of each other. So this looks a lot prettier than this. So a lot of people want to reach down to the ground to show how flexible they are, but really we want to stack the shoulders on top of each other. Our left hand is extending up towards the ceiling. And our gaze can look up at the hand, or it can look out in front of you, wherever's comfortable for the neck. On our next inhale, tighten that core as you rise back up into standing. And then as we exhale, get a deep bend into that front leg again, coming back into our warrior two. Inhale, puff up the chest. And as we exhale, drop that right elbow down to the right thigh. Left hand reaches up over the head for our side angle stretch. So with our side angle stretch, we want that armpit to shine up towards the ceiling. Again, your gaze can be up ahead or it can be out in front. This is always about protecting the neck, protecting the top of the spine. So if you feel a twinge, move out of it right away. On our next inhale, rise back up, warrior two. And as we exhale, cartwheel the hands down to the mat. Make sure you move your block if it's not moved yet. Unplug that back foot, find your low runner's lunge, and then step back into our high plank. With your inhale, puff up the chest, and then on knees or on toes, as we exhale, gently lower down, chaturanga. Inhale, find your back bend, and then exhale, curl the toes, downward dog. Let the hips shake it out here, feel the effects, feel the difference in one hip and then the other. And then as we inhale, sweep the left leg up into the air. Exhale, pulling it through low runner's lunge. So make sure that our knee is still stacked over our ankle. And then as we exhale, plant that back foot. Cartwheel the arms up, warrior two. So check in again here with our positioning. Make sure you've got that imaginary line running down your mat. You can see those big toes, and that left knee is pushing towards the left side of the room. Our hips and our collarbones are squared towards the right side, and our arms are reaching the opposite direction, as if you could reach the wall in front of you and the wall behind you at the same time. On our next inhale, flip our front palm. Exhale, reverse behind us. Our gaze can be up at the hand. Wherever that back arm was on the other side, take it there this time. Inhale, rise back up, warrior two. And then begin to straighten our front leg.
Remember, you can keep the wide stance or you can step in a little bit if that's comfortable for you. As we inhale, begin to reach forward as far as we can. And exhale, let the body melt down. Finding triangle pose on the other side. So really look for the stacked shoulders, one stacked on top of each other. Your right hand is reaching up towards the ceiling. On our next inhale, tighten that core. Put the weight into the left leg as you rise back up and sink down into our warrior two. Feel the core come in nice and strong. We're engaging our bandhas here. And then as we exhale, left elbow comes down to the thigh, right hand goes up overhead. Finding the breath here, the deep connection. Inhaling through the nose. Exhale it out through the nose. Inhale. Exhale. On our next inhale, rise back up, warrior two. And as we exhale, cartwheel the hands down to the mat. Unplug the back foot, low runner's lunge. And then step back into our high runner's lunge. Feel the core coming nice and strong in our plank pose. And then remember, on knees or on toes. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, find your back bend. And exhale, curl the toes, push up and back, downward dog. Finding 3 centering breaths. Bringing yourself back into this moment. Back into your practice. Feeling the ground below you and the air around you. On our next inhale, start to walk your hands back towards your feet. Our feet are hip distance apart. We're taking those peace fingers again. Wrap them around the big toes. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Elbows go out nice and wide. Inhale, rise up halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise up vertebrae by vertebrae. The head is the last thing to come up before the hands sweep above the head. And rise up onto those tiptoes. Little dance out on the mat. You can walk towards the front, spin it around. And then work your way to face the long edge of your mat. So we like to call those our twinkle toes. A little Larry Schultz move there for you guys. Whew, find that breath, find that center. And then we're bringing our hips either hip distance apart or a little bit wider. Standing up nice and tall, making sure you're pressing down through all 4 corners of the feet. So if you have your foot here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's an interesting concept to think about. But we want to make sure we're not letting the feet roll out and really hanging out on the side edges. We want to be pushing down through all 4 corners. Feel the core come in nice and strong. Inhale, lift the hands up overhead. And then exhale, hinge at the hips, diving down towards the mat. So if you're hanging here and you think, I could take my feet a little bit wider, go ahead and move to your comfort zone. So right now our hands are underneath our face. And then as we inhale, rise up onto the fingertips. And then exhale, melt down, letting the hands come in line with the toes. Our head hangs nice and loose. Finding your breath here. On our next inhale, come back up onto the fingertips, lift up halfway. And then bring our hands to our hips. Squeezing our shoulder blades in together as if you were holding a broom behind your back and you had to keep it there. So really feel the shoulder blades come together. Inhale, puff up the chest. Exhale, let the body melt down. Still squeezing those shoulder blades together. Working to bring your elbows back behind you. So they're not pushing out to the sides, but they're really pushing back. On our next inhale, tighten our core and gently start to rise all the way back up. Using that core muscle. Inhale, lift the hands above the head. Exhale, release them down. Inhale, lift our arms up overhead. And this time as we exhale, bringing our hands behind our back, clasping our wrists together. So I'll turn around for you guys. So we're clasping our wrists. You can also grab onto opposite elbows if that feels better. So if your shoulders are really tight, grabbing onto the elbows might be a little bit easier for you. But wherever you are, still standing up nice and tall, that imaginary string's pulling you from your head all the way up towards the ceiling. As we inhale, puff up the chest, look up towards the sky. And then as we exhale, hinge at the hips. You can lift the arms up off the back. Finding your breath. And then as we exhale, release the hands. Taking our peace fingers again, grabbing onto our big toes. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. This time, take as much bend in the knees as you need to. Our elbows, again, are going out super wide. And the goal here is to bring the crown of the head onto the mat. Now, obviously, if it's not your practice, that's all right, but we're always working, always trying to get a little bit further. So take this pose where you need it to go today. On our next inhale, gently start to rise back up and walk your hands to frame the right foot in our low runner's lunge. So moving into our lizard pose here, you can go ahead and stay up onto this back leg, or you can drop the left leg down onto the mat. Bring the right hand on the inside of both feet and heel toe the right leg over towards the corner, over towards the edge of your mat. So as we inhale, puff up the chest, push the ground away from you. And as you exhale, just slowly start to bend down towards your mat. So you can get a little bend in the elbows. You can lower all the way down onto the forearms if that's in your practice. Or as always, you can stay up on the hands and just let the leg drift towards the right side. So we're using our breath here to breathe into that right hip. That breath is going to build the growth, build the space for you to make those changes. On our next inhale, start to straighten the right leg back up. Heel toe it back in between our hands. If your left leg is down, inhale, straighten our left leg. And start to walk to face the long edge of your mat again. Inhale, rise up onto our fingertips. Exhale, forward fold. With this forward fold, take it wherever you need to go. So the hands can stay underneath the face. They can start walking back behind you. Or you can grab onto the big toes if that's in your practice. So reconnecting with our breath. Remembering that this is just yoga, to bring a smile to your face and to have fun. When we fall out of a pose, it really means that we're human, but to really be a yogi means that you get right back into it. On our next inhale, rise back up onto our fingertips. And as we exhale, walk over towards the left side of our mat. Low runner's lunge. As always, you can stay up on that right leg or you can drop it down to the mat. Both hands come on the inside of our left leg and we heel toe that left leg out towards the edge of our mat. Inhale, open up the chest. And exhale, take this wherever you need it to go. Remember in yoga, it's always about balance. So we try to match the right side with the left side. But if one side's a little bit easier to move than the other, that's okay. We always must remember that our bodies are always changing, always growing. That's why we work our poses on both sides, giving them each the amount of love they need. On our next inhale, straighten our leg back up, heel toe it back in between. Inhale, lift up our right leg and walk our hands back into center for one last forward fold. So inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. On our next inhale, rise up onto our hands. Start to walk over to the left side of our mat, framing our right foot. And then as we exhale, step back into our high plank. On knees or on toes, make your journey into chaturanga. Inhale, find your back bend. And exhale, push it up and back, downward dog. Let the head hang nice and loose. Reconnect with your intention, your mantra, whatever you set for your practice today. And then as we inhale, look up towards our hands and make your way to a comfortable seated. So I'm going to turn and face you guys, but you guys can always stay facing towards the short edge of your mat. Sitting up nice and tall, flexing both feet up towards the ceiling, and then clearing out the flesh underneath our bums, getting our sits bones down into the mat, and sitting up nice and tall. So letting that string pull us up towards the ceiling. There's a difference between sitting up nice and tall and hunching over like we're at a desk. So we really want to open up the shoulders, let them roll away from the ears. As we inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. Exhale, hinge at the hips, forward fold towards our feet. So you have a couple options here. You can grab onto your ankles. You can take as much bend in the knees as you can to reach your feet. And then even with our feet, we have so many options. So you grab onto the outsides, onto the tops. You can grab onto the big toes. Remember, this is your practice. Take it where you need to go. On our next inhale, gently start to rise back up. Sweep the arms overhead. Exhale them down to the sides. Grabbing onto our left leg as we inhale, bring it in towards the body. Left arm wraps under and right hand wraps around the foot. Kind of like you were holding a baby. Weird way to hold a baby, but we're going to go ahead and rock that leg side to side. Opening up that hip. Finding the space. And taking these rocks nice and slow. It's not like a hike, 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 but it's more just gentle rocking side to side. As we exhale, let our foot come down on the inside of our right leg, finding a seated tree pose. Sit up nice and tall, sweep the arms overhead. And then as we exhale, you're squaring the hips and the shoulders to face the right leg. And we exhale over our right leg. So our goal here on our seated forward folds is to bring the chest towards our knee and the crown of our head towards our foot. So we're keeping our spine nice and long, not letting it hunch so the shoulders roll away from the ears. And we're really reaching with that chest. The chest is our guiding force here. And the very last thing to surrender is the head. On our next inhale, gently start to rise back up. Bend our left leg up so it's facing up towards the ceiling. And then grab onto that leg and wrap it around the right. As we inhale, sweep the right leg up. Right leg. Woo, this is an arm. Inhale, sweep the right arm up into the air. Exhale, connect right elbow to left knee and twist gently towards the left side of the mat. As always, take this pose where you need to go. If you want to take it a little bit further, that's fine. If you just want to stay here and embrace the feeling, follow where your body is guiding you today. On our next inhale, look forward. And then as we exhale, unwind the arms. Inhale, sweep the left arm up in the air. And exhale, take the opposite twist towards the right side of the room. Inhale, our gaze come back forward. We unwind the arms, unwind the legs, and give the legs a nice little shake out. On our next inhale, hug both legs in towards the chest. And then as we exhale, release our legs out in front of us. Sitting up nice and tall. This time activating the right leg. So we inhale that right leg up. Right arm wraps under. Left arm wraps around the foot. Creating a nice little cradle as we rock the legs side to side. I don't know what this hand's doing. It's just like a weird like. On our next exhale, gently release the leg down, connecting to the inner part of our left leg. Inhale, sit up nice and tall. Sweep the arms overhead. Square the chest and the hips to the left leg. And then as we exhale, forward fold. Remember, we're hinging from the hips, leading with the chest, grabbing onto wherever is comfortable for you, wherever your edge is. And then the very last thing we let go is the head. On our next inhale, gently start to rise back up. Let the left and right. Let our right leg bend up, and then lift it over that left leg. Inhale, left arm rises up. Exhale, connect left elbow to right knee, and gently twist towards the right side. Inhale, bringing our gaze forward and switching our twist. So the right hand comes up this time, and we gently twist open towards the left side of the room. Inhale, looking forward, releasing the arms, releasing the legs, giving the legs a nice little shake out. And then as we inhale, bring our legs in towards the chest. As we exhale, roll over into our tabletop. Inhale, push the ground away from you. And then as we exhale, sink the hips down, finding child's pose. Letting the body start to melt down here. Still engaging all parts of the body as our hands extend towards the short edge of our mat. We breathe into the hips. The belly comes in towards the thighs, and we sink the hips down just a little bit deeper. On our next inhale, rise up onto our hands and our knees, finding tabletop. As we exhale, curl the toes, push up and back, downward dog. Let the head shake out side to side, nodding yes and no. And then as we inhale, sweep the right leg up into the air. As we exhale, we're pulling it through for pigeon. So we're letting the right knee go to the right arm. The left arm is getting the right foot. So our right knee lines up with our right arm. Our right foot lines up with the left wrist. And as we inhale, we puff up the chest. Exhale, gently start to fold forward. So this is another pose to take it where you need to go. So you can always stay up onto your hands. You can come onto the forearms. If something doesn't feel right and this feels weird to you, you feel a twinge, go ahead and come onto your back, and you're going to take a lying figure four. So those are our two variations for our pigeon pose. Remember to take this where you need it to go today. It's your practice. You carved out this time for yourself. So the time to be present, the time just to be here on your mat, where nothing else in the room, in the house matters. So you still have time for yourself here. So keep pushing the outside thoughts away. Breathing in the energy, breathing in the space. And then as we exhale, curl the left toe, push the hips up, find downward dog. Let the knees shake out, feel the effects in one hip and then the other. And then as we inhale, lift the left leg up into the air. Exhale, pulling it through. So left knee comes to left wrist, left toes come to right wrist. Inhale, puff up your chest. And then exhale, take this to wherever you need it to go today. Again, if this feels weird, if it hurts, go ahead and take it on your back for a lying figure four. Yoga is all about creating space within ourselves. We find that edge, and we look to push past it each and every practice. But yoga is not about injury, so if something feels really off, go ahead and back out of it. If you're in a live class with a teacher, contact them afterwards and just be like, hey, this is what's going on. And then once we're able to get back into classes, that's when you can flag a teacher down and be like, ayo, I need help. I've done it plenty of times. On our next inhale, curl the right toes, Push the hips up and back, downward dog. Inhale, look up towards our hands. Step or jump to the top of our mat, finding our seated. And coming into butterfly pose. So bringing the soles of our feet together. You can take this pose two ways. So if you want to stretch the outer hips, take a wide diamond. But if you're looking to target the inner thighs and the inner hips, bring the feet in as close to the body as you can. If you're like me and you want to stretch both, find a nice little middle ground. Sitting up nice and tall here, and I want you to gently close your eyes. So I want you to feel what sitting up nice and tall is. How the spine reaches up towards the ceiling while you're lengthening the tailbone down to the mat. You're building the space, giving room for the breath to flow in and out. As we inhale, you can keep the eyes closed or you can gently open them. And then as you exhale, hinge at the hips and melt down towards your feet. So as I said before with forward folds, our goal is to keep the spine nice and long. But as we forward fold here, it's the one place where we can find that rounding of the spine. As the gaze goes down towards our mat or towards our belly button. If you want to target the hips, you can use the arms and the elbows to push the legs down a little bit farther down to the mat. Your feet open up like a book. Coming into center and into focus here. Bringing the thought back into the breath. Those strong inhales that fill up the body with the life and the energy. And those equally as strong exhales that are pushing away the thoughts telling you that you're tired or that you can't do this pose because it feels weird. It's important that we know the difference between it feels weird and it hurts. So it feels weird means it's a pose we don't normally do. Their muscles were waking up. So embracing those moments. On our next inhale, gently start to rise back up, using our hands to close our knees. Inhale, bring your arms out in front of you. And then as you exhale, gently start to lower down onto the mat. To protect the lower spine, you can also always grab onto the back of the thighs as you gently lower down. As we inhale, bring both legs into the chest and let the spine rock side to side. As we exhale, our feet come down to the mat. Our arms go nice and long, setting up for bridge pose. So our toes are facing towards the short edge of the mat. And as we inhale, push down on the big toe and lift the hips up towards the ceiling. So your hands can stay where they're at, or you can lock them underneath the back and roll the shoulders down. This helps you open up the chest. Finding your breath here. Let the chin look up towards the ceiling. And then exhale, gently release vertebrae by vertebrae. Let the knees windshield wipe side to side. And then coming back into center as we set up for one more. So full wheel is in your practice. You can go ahead and take full wheel here. Otherwise, setting up for another bridge. So pushing down on the heels and the big toe, we inhale, lift up the heels. The chin comes away from the chest, and we can always roll the shoulders underneath to find that opening. Breathing in. And you're squeezing the inner thighs like they're best friends, not letting the legs fall apart, but really holding them in together. As we exhale, gently let the body roll down the mat. Our legs windshield wipe side to side. And then as we inhale, bring our knees in towards the chest, giving them a nice hug in. And as we exhale, let the left leg come down to the mat. We inhale the right leg up into the air. So you have a couple options here. You can grab onto the back of the thigh, bring the shoulder and the chest up off the mat as you grab onto the back of the calf, or you can grab onto the big toe with your peace fingers. Take this however is comfortable for you, any variation, but our goal is to keep that left leg down on the mat. So if you feel that left leg start to rise up, really flex that foot and ground it down into the mat. Breathing into this leg, feeling the space and feeling the growth. And then as we exhale, gently let the body melt down to the mat. Our right leg falls towards the right side. Cradling the leg however's comfortable for you. You can leave the leg nice and straight or find a bend. On our next inhale, bring our leg back into center. And as we exhale, let the leg fall towards the left side of the mat. Our right hand extends towards the right side, and our gaze follows. Finding a gentle twist here. As we inhale, bring our leg back into center. Hug both knees in towards the chest and let the spine rock side to side. On our next exhale, lower the right leg down. Inhale the left leg up into the air. And grab onto the left leg wherever you grabbed onto the right. Remember, it's all about balance in yoga. But if you can't grab onto the same place, just try even for a second. That's all we ask in our classes, is that you just try. And then if you need to back it off, you can. As we exhale, gently melt down to the mat. And then let our left leg fall towards the left side. Remember, we're keeping that right leg down, so keep that foot nice and flexed. I just caught myself bending it a little bit. On our next inhale, rise our leg back up into the air. Exhale, let it fall towards the right side. Left hand extends out. Inhale, bring our leg back up into center. Hug both legs in towards the chest and rock the body side to side. When you're ready, start to rock the body up and down your mat, beginning to rock and roll and working your way into a comfortable seated. So really starting to slow down our practice here, finding our way into a seated that is comfortable for us and sitting up nice and tall. Gently let the eyes close here. Take a moment to come back into connection with the intention or the mantra that you set for the start of practice. Let the mind come in to your body. Focusing here in this moment. This is still your practice and still your journey. So keep pushing out the thoughts of the things that are to come later or the things that you did before class. This is all about you. It's here in this moment. So coming back into connection with our breath. Keeping the eyes closed and finding your center. Wherever you are, take a deep breath. Close your eyes. Or you can always keep them open and choose an area or an object to focus on. Slowly inhale to the count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold your breath here. Now, slowly exhale for a count of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As you continue with this breathing pattern, begin to picture a light at the top of your head. Allow the light to slowly scan down your body, becoming aware of each area as it scans over it. Notice any tension, any tightness, and as you notice it, begin to let it relax. Scan from your head to your neck, from your shoulders all the way down to your toes.
slowly inhale to the count of 4. Now, slowly exhale to a count of 5. With our eyes closed, coming together to take Yoga Mudra. So as we inhale, our arms sweep above our head. As we exhale, our hands come behind us, clasping at the wrist. Inhale, sit up nice and tall, puff your chest up. And as we exhale, we forward fold down to the mat. Our hands come off our back, sealing in our practice, in the effects, in the moment, and in the energy. Exhale, let the hands come down to the back, staying here. Inhale, gently start to rise back up. In your own time and in your own breath, slowly making your way into Shavasana. So letting the legs unwind, letting the body slowly melt down onto your mat. Once you are laying on your mat, letting go of the breath. As you inhale, you feel the breath fill up your body. As you exhale, the tension slowly melts out of the feet. Inhale, you feel your belly and your chest expand. Exhale, everything melts down a little bit deeper into the mat. Our next inhale fills the arms up, and the exhale melts them down, releasing all the tension. The last area we release the tension is in our neck. So as we breathe in, the breath goes from the toes to our belly to our shoulders, all the way up to the crown of the head. And as we exhale, we push that breath back down from the crown of the head to the shoulders, to the belly, to the toes. Beginning to find your final resting position, your final resting movements. Gently starting to wake the body back up, wiggling out your fingers and your toes, rolling out your wrists and your ankles, and taking a full body stretch as you reach the arms overhead. The toes stretch as long as they can. We begin to work our way to the right side of the mat, rolling over, using our hand and our arm to cradle our head. And then when you're ready, with our eyes still closed, we work our way back into our comfortable seated. Our hands can stay on our knees, or we bring them into heart center. In today's rush, we all think too much. We seek too much, we want too much, and we forget about the joy of just being. So in the times that we're going through, it's always important to find that being, to find the moments to be here now in the present, to embrace the energy and the light around us. Thank you guys so much today for joining me on the mat. The light in me sees the light in each and every one of you. And together we say, Namaste. Namaste, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining me today.